Okay, so I have decided to do one of the throughout the years videos, and this one is going to be for birth through kindergarten because I know it's normally birth through preschool, but I didn't go to preschool, so I think it would be an awkward place to stop just at, age 4 when I'm waiting to go to kindergarten. But, so let's get started. First things first, I was born to two very relieved parents on August 10th, 1991, I'm 18, in Dallas, Texas at Parkland Hospital. I was born in the same hospital that President Kennedy died in, so there's a little random fact about me. I was 15 days late, which is why my parents were very relieved, and they induced my mother at 7 in the morning, and I didn't come till 8 at night. 9 at night, 9:18. So I'm pretty sure they were very, very relieved. Glad I was finally a part of the world, I suppose. It would be a good way to put it. I have one brother. His name is Jason. If any of you live in Oklahoma, vote for him. He's running for labor commissioner. When I was young, we moved a lot. I could say a lot about 5 more times and still be pretty far away from a good amount of a lot, if that makes any sense. When they brought me home from the hospital, we lived in Grand Prairie, and that's in the Dallas Metroplex area. And then when I was 6 or 8 months old, I wasn't very old, we moved to where I live now, and we lived here for a little. And then when I was about 2 or so, we moved to Bardstown, Kentucky, which is where my father's from. It's also the bourbon capital of the world, I guess. It's where a lot of bourbons come from. Jim Beam, Evan Williams, Knob Creek, a lot. And then when I was 4, we moved to Pierce, Minnesota. I don't really remember a lot in this time. I don't think that that's abnormal to, not really remember things when you're that young. Some things that I do remember, when I'm assuming when we lived in Grand Prairie, my brother and I, my brother's 13 years older than I am, but we lived in an apartment somewhere, and we had to share a room, and I don't think he liked that very much because I was a little brat. I was an awful kid. I was awful. And, my bangs are getting on my nerves, you can't tell. I don't know what's wrong with them. I don't know. But I guess I'm just gonna leave them alone like this, unless that piece of hair doesn't stop getting on my nerves. I remember when I was maybe 3, I had chickenpox, and I was at daycare, and it was so bad. I was wearing a blue sweater with an applique unicorn on it, and I know that's a really weird thing to remember, what shirt I was wearing, not where I was, or maybe even what pants I was wearing, but I think I was wearing purple pants, by the way. And I remember my mom had to come get me because I had chickenpox. They didn't want the rest of the kids to get it, and then they have that on their heads, and parents are mad, blah blah blah. So I remember my mom having to come get me for that. And when we moved to the first house that we lived in Minnesota, in Pierce, it was way out in the middle of nowhere. In the middle of nowhere. It was awful. We had no neighbors. Okay, we did, but they were cows. They were our dairy cows, but still. And we did a lot of farming, a lot of agriculture. I remember my parents and I, we were shucking corn in our backyard. We were just sitting in the grass, and like this cow would not shut up. Like it just kept mooing and mooing and mooing. And my dad threw an ear of corn at it, and it got to work on that ear of corn. And it was just happy as a clam. And see, my father was raised on a farm, so I guess he knew the cow was hungry, or something to that effect. I remember digging for rocks because I was bored, and my dad getting mad at me for digging holes in the driveway. I remember for Christmas, the year I turned 4, I got a Barbie car, like a little, like not like one that you put Barbie in, but one you put you in, and it's like it's Barbie themed, and it only had 2 settings, but I thought it was the most amazing thing in the world. And it had like a sticker radio. It looked like a radio, but it totally wasn't a radio, and that was kind of heartbreaking because I totally thought I had a radio, but I didn't. Anyway, and I used to drive that around the farm a lot. Because, you know, if you have wheels instead of feet, you're going to choose wheels every time. And, I remember the day that I went to go sign up for kindergarten, I met the very first, like, friend other than a member of my family that I ever had. Her name is Crystal, and she just had her baby on Christmas, her first baby. She had her on Christmas. Her name's Caden, and she's the cutest thing in the whole world. But that's not pertinent to this particular endeavor. She was meaner than a cat in a bag to me. She was so mean to me. All I wanted was a friend, and she was doing a puzzle with her sister, and I asked her, you know, we were talking, and she told me that if she needed more friends, she'd let me know. And I cried. And I've never let her live it down. Ever. It's been like 13 years. And I still bring it up. And we still laugh and laugh and laugh. Because, I mean, it's funny now, but at the time, it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking. It was awful. I guess that's all I remember before kindergarten, but this is gonna include kindergarten. Because I don't really remember much of kindergarten, but it's enough. I guess it's enough. Because it wouldn't be enough to have its own video. I can really think of like 3 things that I remember. One of them being that I sucked at nap time because I am awful at sleeping. But I was always really tired, but I could never fall asleep. And I remember me being the only kid that hadn't lost a tooth. And then when I finally did, I was ready to have a party. Really, I was ready to have a party. We were at playtime, and I've always had an obsession with shoes. I love shoes. I love them. Love, love, love. And, we had like a cash register by the shoes, and I was the shoe connoisseur, I suppose. And, I was a shoe person, and somebody was gonna buy a pair of shoes, and I accidentally got my finger caught in the cash register, and I flipped my lid. I started screaming and screaming and screaming, and I remember the cash register was making that noise. It was an old cash register, so it had the paper that you had to load in it, and the paper just kept spitting out, and it kept making the noise over and over and over again, and I kept screaming and screaming, make it stop, make it stop, make it stop, and my teacher had to get a pair of scissors and like pry the drawer open. It was awful. It hurt a lot, but I don't remember bleeding at all. I don't remember bleeding. I do remember crying a lot, though. A lot. It was awful. It was really, really bad. Me and Crystal, we eventually became friends, obviously. And, part of playtime was, like, they had those guest checks, like, at restaurants, and I remember that's how I wrote down her number so that I could start calling her and we could start hanging out and stuff like that. And, I don't remember much else of kindergarten. So I suppose that would be the end of my video. And I'll see you next time. Bye.